What's up, guys? Brandon here. First I have to apologize because it's been about 2 weeks since I did a video. I've just been really busy with my inspection business, Shielded Home Inspections, shamelessly plugging the business. This year I started off strong, which is great. I'm really trying to manifest a good year with my business. And so I've been just focusing on that. I've got a couple videos that I need to edit because I wanted to follow up. I saw a lot of people had seen my video about me going to college for music. So I had a few videos in the pipeline I need to edit, and the editing is just taking a little bit longer than I would like. So that's why I like to do these videos where I just sit in the car, I just talk for a little bit and post it, and it's ready to go. So today I wanted to talk about more the financial impact of going to college, how it led me to bankruptcy. And I'm one of the few people who you're going to be able to point to or know who went bankrupt on student loans. And I know like a lot of people are going to say it's impossible. You can't do it, but I did it. And I have the proof. If enough people are like, oh, you can't do it, you need to see proof, I'll post it in the community thing on this channel where I can post a picture of the letter that I got from the United States Bankruptcy Court that says, yeah, I went bankrupt on these private student loans and I don't have to pay them back. They're dismissed. So yeah, federal student loans, totally different story. This happened with private student loans. So it's definitely a lot easier to go bankrupt on private student loans. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'll set the stage. I kind of talk about like what happened after I graduated college, because junior and senior year, I was making interest-only payments on my student loans. So I remember junior year was about $250 a month that I was paying interest only. Okay, it's not paying down the loan at all. It's just basically, yeah, interest. Senior year, I had to take out more money, and so that minimum payment went up to $500 a month. So the whole time I'm in school, I'm also trying to work and pay $500 a month. Again, 2014. Interest only payments. And anyways, the loans, like the full payment kicked in once I graduated college. So in 2014, in May or June, whenever you graduate, instantly they went from $500 a month to $1,090 a month. So the minute I graduated college, that's how much I was paying a month. And I went to college for sound engineering, recording. I did manage to get a job within the last month of me going to college. I actually started working at a audiobook studio, but I was making $10 a month. Okay, it was 2014. Minimum wage was maybe like $8 something an hour. So I was above minimum wage, but it was brutal. And so when I graduated, I would work 40 hours a week at the audiobook studio. And then I would get in my car, drive back to the college, and I would work at the campus library for another like 7 hours. So I was working 15 hours a day, 5 days a week. And, you know, I know there's going to be like a lot of mixed feelings about like me filing bankruptcy on student loans. Some people are going to be like, you know, you have to pay them back. You're an asshole for not paying them back and this and that. But listen, guys, I worked my ass off. Like I tried. I mean, I did 15 hours a day, 5 days a week. I was working 70 hours. Again, I was making $80 a day at the audiobook studio, and then I would make $15 an hour at the library. So, you know, at least that was like $100. So I was working 15 hours a day just to make $180. Okay. So 5 days a week. What is that? Like $800 a week or something. I don't even know. It's 8 times 5. 180. I'm trying to do the math right now. Yeah, it's probably like $800 a week. Somebody do the math on that. So I was making that. My monthly payments was $1,090, plus I had to pay rent and buy food. And guys, when I turned 18, I left home. Like I didn't go back. Sure, I spent the summers at home, but I was basically on my own. And I didn't qualify for federal assistance because my mom had gotten remarried. And so obviously the guy she remarried, like he didn't pay for my college. But because she was remarried, I didn't fall into the financial bracket to get any kind of help for college. So I had to pay all of it with private student loans. And yeah, I lived like that for a while. For 2 or 3 years after college, I was working 70 hours a week, trying to pay down $1,090 a month in student loans. Now, the terms on those loans was for 7 years. So theoretically, 7 years after college, I would be all paid up. Now, eventually, it got to the point where I got a credit card, or like I got an offer in the mail to consolidate all my student loans. So I was making like maybe 5 different payments to like different loan companies. And this consolidated thing it made it a lot easier because I only had to pay one person now. And I was able to change the terms. So now the terms was like 25 years and I was paying maybe $500 to $600 a month. Now that was great. Like that was helpful, but now I'm looking at paying them till I'm like 52 years old. I'll be done paying for this music degree. And I got some raises here and there at the audiobook place, but it just didn't help. So like refinancing the student loans was like the best thing I could do. But I didn't know it was a blessing in disguise. And I know I had talked about this stuff in previous videos, but yeah, you can't send like a student loan through a mail, like a offer in the mailbox. So because I reconsolidated through offer in the mailbox, when I filed bankruptcy, the judge actually determined that these were not student loans because they didn't have they didn't have the right interest rate. Their interest rate was way too high for a student loan interest rate. And the terms, like none of it was what you would see in a traditional student loan. And I guess to explain, like, how did I get to that point that I had to file bankruptcy in the first place? Well, I was, again, working my ass off. I tried to pay everything back. And I think it was somewhere when the pandemic happened. I went from working 40 hours a week at the audiobook place to like, I had like 2 weeks where I did like 10 hours. And I was kind of freaking out. I was like, I got to pay rent. Like, what am I going to do? And so I filed for unemployment, and I didn't really know like the consequences of that. I just knew that that's sort of within my right. Like if you normally work full time at a business and you're a W-2 employee, and all of a sudden that business drastically cuts your hours, you qualify for unemployment. Even though you're technically still employed, it's to make up for what you're losing. So when I filed unemployment, I got an email from the owner of the audiobook studio, and he was like, "Oh, I see you filed for unemployment. You can just keep the unemployment because you don't work here anymore." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like I didn't. Yeah, basically that's how I lost that job. So, which again, it was during the pandemic, so it was kind of like so much was happening at that point. It was kind of, I wasn't like the only person going through something like that. But at this point, I was like $110,000 in debt, because if you see my video about the Robert Kiyosaki real estate seminars, I was like so desperate trying to figure out something to do to make more money, because I just knew this degree wasn't working, that when I went to the seminar, I just signed up for the classes and took out like another 50 grand in debt, which I'm surprised anybody even let me take out like an additional loan, because I was just not making enough money to even pay it back. It's just crazy. It's crazy. So again, it's like people could be mad at me for filing bankruptcy and not paying back my student loans, and you can say, oh, society has to pay it back, which isn't true. If it's a private student loan, no taxpayer money goes back. Like if somebody gives me a private loan and I default on it or file bankruptcy and can't pay it back, no tax money is going to that person to pay them back for the money they lost. They're just ass out. You just lost all your money. So that basically happened to me. I had taken out like $100,000 in debt. At this point, it was like 105, and then I took out a bunch of money to start my real estate wholesaling business, which ultimately I failed. And the payments were due, and I just couldn't make the payments. I didn't know what else to do, so I just talked to a bankruptcy attorney, and they advised me this is the best thing to do. Like, I'm just in a crazy situation where the most income I can even make from this audio degree is significantly less than even like the payments on the debt that I have. So it was just not possible. And that's why I also qualified for that hardship, that undue hardship sort of clause in there with the loans, is that me paying them back was detrimental to my life. I literally couldn't make these payments on these student loans and live. But yeah, listen, if you guys have like any specific questions, because I don't know exactly like what specifically to talk about with this, because you know, when you're going through bankruptcy, it's like you just have to talk to a couple different attorneys. You show them your financial situation, you talk about the debt, and the process is actually really easy. Like, I just paid the woman like $1,000. She files the paperwork, and now you're in bankruptcy status. And once you're in bankruptcy status, nobody can ask you for money. Like, nobody can ask you to repay your debts. And you go to court and you just explain to the judge, I'm like, hey, you know, I tried to start a business. I went to college for this. It's just nothing's working out. I'm struggling. And the judge was basically like, yeah, like I can see, you know, they had my financial records. They saw I was working my ass off. And a big part of bankruptcy is you can't like be behind on payments. So like the best situation you can be when you file bankruptcy is you're caught up on all your payments, because that shows like you're not just trying to skip out on like paying people. It's like I was very financially responsible. I knew that, hey, I could keep up these payments for another 1 or 2 months, but after that, like I'm not going to be able to pay everybody back. So I acted before I was actually out of money, and I filed bankruptcy. And then again, I'm not behind on payments. My credit was perfect. It makes the bankruptcy process a lot easier because they can see like you're showing, I did my best to pay it back. This is my situation. I'm just not making enough money. I just need a clean slate, you know? And I got it. Again, I'm like one of the few people who you're going to know, or who's openly going to say, hey, I went bankrupt on my student loans and I'll have to pay them back. I've already got out, you know, backlash. People have already told me I'm lazy and this and that. But listen, I did my best, guys. I freaking did my best. And I had to pivot, you know, when I had to come up with another way. I had to just figure something out. So I started a home inspection business, you know. Yeah, I had to become passionate about houses. And I had to take my passion for music and put it into something that I knew could make money. And I failed my first business, the wholesale business. I almost gave up on this home inspection business, guys. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, it's tough. It's not easy. Starting your own business is not easy. But when I got that license and started the business, like, I marketed my ass off. I networked my ass off. I had to keep getting better, keep learning. And it was not easy. I was working. I went to classes at night. I was like 27 when I did this. And 5-6 years later, this is like my 5th or 6th year in business. I think it's my 6th year in business. Finally, I started off this year okay. Like, this year started and I'm consistently busy. Now, because I've been through the ups and downs of owning your own business, is like I kind of have this pessimistic view in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm busy this week, but will it continue for next week? And I just want to talk about like leveling up real quick, because I went from making $10 an hour at that audiobook studio to now I have my own inspection business, Shielded Home Inspections. And like tomorrow, I'm going to go to Newark to do an inspection for a bank on a like 28 unit building in Newark. And they're going to pay like $700 to $800. And it's going to take me, let's say, 4 hours. So I went from working 8 hours to making $80 to now I can make, let's say, like $700, $800 in 4 hours. So you just got to be looking for ways to kind of level up. Like, you might be in that situation, but it is possible to improve your skills, improve your value, and start making a few $100s in a day. And eventually I want to make a few $1,000s in a day. That's my ultimate goal. And yeah, so again, if you guys have any questions about bankruptcy, student loans, going to college for music, I actually even had somebody reach out to me for production advice because they saw I make trance music. And so like last Sunday, we sat on a Zoom call for over an hour, and I just kind of showed them what I'm doing to produce music. I just let them pick my brain, and it was really great. It was a really awesome experience. So listen, if you guys are looking for any kind of like production lessons, you just want to pick my brain and know how am I making trance music or doing what I'm doing, or you even want like business coaching or whatever, just feel free to reach out, guys. I'm an open book. I could do production lessons for like $60 an hour on Zoom. You can show me what you're working on, or I can even just show you like some projects I have and how I did them and what resources I'm using to put this music together. I can talk about real estate. And actually February 22nd, there is a real estate expo in Times Square, New York City. I'm going to have a table set up at the expo for my inspection business. So if you guys are in the real estate industry, or you're curious, or you want to get into the real estate industry, definitely check out that real estate expo. I got to remember to post the link to it in the description of this video. I think it's like $20 or something for a ticket for the day. Like, I don't get any money from the tickets. I'm literally just, I had to pay money to set my table up over there. I think that's about it. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being patient with me. I got more videos I want to edit and post. But all right, guys, I got to get my day started. So see you guys in the next one, okay?